Welcome back to Girl Sits in Front of Camera and Talks for 45 minutes. I'm your host, Olivia.
Hey everybody, this is the gremlin that edits Olivia's videos, and yeah, I didn't notice that my tank top was twisted for basically the entire video, and I'm not reshooting it, and I'm sorry, it drove me crazy too. I have no excuse. I'm sorry. Suffer with me.
And today I'm dyeing my hair pink again, and while I dye my hair pink, I'm gonna talk about 21 Pilots' new album. Or at least try to, because I made an attempt at this in the past, and it was just kind of a lot of, it was unplanned, and it was weird and emotional, so I'm doing a redo, and actually I'm gonna go, like, into my thoughts. I'm doing a thesis on 21 Pilots' album Trench, and this is my presentation. This is one of my tubes. Bless her. She's been through a lot. I'm gonna be looking this direction a lot because I have a mirror over here. So, apologies. Alright, let's get started. I believe there's a reason for the order of the tracks, so I think it's important to listen to an album from start to finish, not on shuffle. So, Jumpsuit. I think the thing about Jumpsuit is that outside of the context of the rest of the album, you're a little confused about it, but then once you hear the rest of the album, it kind of makes a little more sense. But Jumpsuit by itself is an incredible song, very moving, very emotional, beautiful, just beautiful. And what's incredible about Jumpsuit is it sort of sets the tone for the rest of Trench while also being completely unexpected, because Jumpsuit is almost like this metal, grungy guitar sound, and literally no other song on the album sounds like that. I mean, they're known for doing that, for having like different sounds on the album, but I mean, there's just no way you could listen to Jumpsuit, the first song on the album, and be like, I know what's gonna happen next. You don't. As far as like meaning goes, as a Christian, I guess, I put in a meaning that I believe, and some people may not believe this meaning, but it's what I have, that Jumpsuit is like his faith, or like God himself, and he's asking him to cover him because he's about to go through this dark place, Trench. He's about to go into this. That's kind of what I grasp from Jumpsuit. Jumpsuit will become more important in a little bit. I'll come back to it. Next, after Jumpsuit, is Levitate, and Levitate is a bop. I love it. And it's just straight rap all the way through, and nothing like Jumpsuit. Shocker. It's just rap the whole time. Like, he doesn't even take a breather until just the end, and then he just stops rapping. It's wild. Levitate has a lot going on, and I'll be honest, I haven't quite got it figured out, other than I know towards the end he's talking about Hollywood and media by having singles and hits on the radio and stuff like that, which is not a foreign topic for 21 Pilots to discuss. He's always, I mean, I think, geez, like every album has had a song like that. Kind of has that vibe towards the end, however, I know that that is not the whole message throughout. I know Tyler's sort of known to jump around in songs and kind of say different things. So like one song doesn't have just one meaning, it kind of has multiples, which is always fascinating to me. So Levitate is kind of a big question mark as far as what I believe that it means. Moving on from Levitate, and this is Morph, and Morph is incredible. What I love about Morph is Morph actually does set the tone for the rest of the album. Jumpsuit and Levitate are wildly different from the rest of the album, but Morph is actually, like, you can listen to Morph and be like, okay, I kind of get what's gonna happen from here on out. The songs are still very different, don't get me wrong. What I love about the sound is it's very Mute Math influenced. I mean, Paul Mulaney, is that how you pronounce his name? Paul with an M for a last name. I think it's Mulaney. Makes me think of John Mulaney though. Definitely, he was one of their producers. I think the only producer or something like that, or not the only, but one of the only guys he worked with. I don't know the official name for it, but he was there and he helped Tyler write the music and stuff, and you can definitely hear it. And some people don't like that, but I freaking love that because Mute Math's last album was incredible. I think their best album I've ever heard was Mute Math's most recent, called Play Dead. Go check it out. It's incredible. I love the Mute Math influence. I love that Tyler worked with Paul on that because I feel like Mute Math and 21 Pilots is the perfect combination. Another thing about Morph is what does it mean? And I'm not 100% sure. I believe Morph is speaking about his faith. I believe that's when he first, in this album, when he first sort of addresses his doubts. But he, as far as the chorus goes, which is, you know, the catcher here, so I'm not 100% sure other than he's sort of distancing himself from some part of himself during this time of questioning. Like, while I'm here, I'm just gonna morph into someone else, I'm just a ghost. Or maybe it's like realizing our insignificance in the world, or his insignificance, how he feels. Morph is tricky, but Morph is also a beautiful display of Tyler Joseph's vocal range. Oh my, I can't put it into words. I'm gonna try. Dogs. We're gonna have to just power through. Morph is an incredible display of Tyler's vocal range. It goes into his falsetto all the way into the deepest possible note he can hit, I'm assuming, and it's beautiful. I mean, he and his talent, just raw talent, exudes from that boy. That was a weird sentence. After Morph is My Blood. My Blood was also a single, so this is not a new song if you have been along for the ride since the beginning. But it is still good, and a lot of us don't really know the meaning because at first some of us believed it was about his faith, and because of like Jesus shedding his blood, calling Tyler my blood. And that would make sense, and that fits the song all throughout until one line where he says, "Don't they know I was grown with you?" And that doesn't really make sense in the context of faith, God saying that he grew with Tyler, because God doesn't change. So, I mean, there's still probably a way to interpret that as far as faith goes, but outside of that, we believe that it's about Tyler's brothers. He's singing about his brothers, or his brothers maybe even speaking to him, that like, we're there for each other no matter what. And that's a really sweet message. And then the music video came out. And no, I don't understand the music video. If they had just left it alone and just made it about two brothers, like, it would have been just a sweet video. It would have just been sweet, still very good and very powerful of a message about, like, familial love. Would have been still a very powerful message. Instead, they pulled the rug out from under you at the last second and made it about, like, made it somehow that the brother was never real, that it was like all in this kid's imagination, and I don't fully understand what it means, and I'll be honest, when I first saw that, it made me mad, because I was like, they could have left it alone. Instead, they had to go for the shock factor. Like, does this even mean anything, or is this just for the shock factor? Because if it is, then that's a waste of time. I'm sure there's a meaning behind it, because I can't imagine a world where 21 Pilots, or just Tyler and Josh, allow a meaningless video to come out, because even Heathens, though that was not fully in their power, there was snippets of like the movie in it, but they still worked hard to make it about them and about like their message and it meaning something. After My Blood is Chlorine. Chlorine is the best song on the album. Talk about Tyler's vocal range in that one. It's the same as Morph. He hits his falsetto and he hits his deep notes, and just does some like tricks with his voice that are just freaking love it. Love it. I don't know what else to say. It's just good. I believe it is a song about his faith, and I'll explain why. People say that like God kind of cleans you out and it can hurt. It's like when someone is pruning a bush, like he has to cut stuff out of us that's hurting us, like the dead parts of us, and that might hurt feeling that cut out, but in the end it's worth it. So I think Chlorine is kind of like a nod in that direction, that like drinking chlorine probably sucks, probably doesn't feel good, feels like poison, feels like it's killing you, but chlorine is something that's like supposed to sanitize, you know, water, sanitize whatever it's in. It kills bacteria, kills off bad things. So, but it's, did I mention the best song on the album? Because it's the best song on the album. After Chlorine is Smithereens, and Smithereens is beautiful, and of course it's about his wife Jenna, and I love it because he even says in the song, you know, I had to do one on the record for her, and it's like, of course we did, Tyler. There were two things I wanted from this record. I wanted a song about Jenna, and I wanted something about Josh Dun, and he gave me both of those within the first few songs. Love it. Speaking about his wife, I love him talking about getting beat up, because that is such a Tyler Joseph thing to say, talking about getting beat up for his girl. If we ever hear that he's in the hospital, I'll probably laugh, because I'm like, he probably got in a fight because someone looked at his wife wrong. After Smithereens is Neon Gravestones. You want to talk about heavy. Oof. That song is the car radio of this album. What I love about this song is you don't have to decipher the meaning, and Tyler did that on purpose because this is such an important message that I love that he was very careful about how he presented it. The song's not very flashy. There's not a whole lot of like fancy beats, especially when he's talking. Like there is maybe during the chorus, but whenever, because it's not even rap, it's more very spoken word, and he does that on purpose because he doesn't want to distract you from what he's saying. He's not trying to throw things in the way so that you miss his point. Neon Gravestones, you know, he's talking about suicide, specifically like celebrity suicide, and, you know, still continuing to almost idolize it. We say that we don't, but we do. Even the way he talks over pronunciates every word because he doesn't want anything to be missed. He doesn't want anything to be misunderstood. And he's very careful to be respectful in how he chooses his words, and it's just incredible. It's just freaking incredible. How many times am I going to say that word? Alright, yes, after Neon Gravestones is The Hype. I have to say, this is the only song in the album that I kind of don't like. No, it's not that I don't like it. Definitely not my favorite on the album. It's honestly just kind of boring. I'm being honest. I don't not like it, but compared to the rest of the album, it pales. It's just, it almost just feels like a filler. I could be wrong. Not to say The Hype won't grow on me. My opinion on any of these songs is not set in stone. The Hype is just kind of, I don't know, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Nico and the Niners sounded weird right off the bat, I'll be honest, especially in comparison to Jumpsuit, but now I was hoping that once the album came out, Nico and the Niners would make a little more sense. It does and it doesn't. So the Nico thing makes a little more sense about who Nico is because he explains who Nico is during Morph, sort of. Once the new album came out as a whole, and I listened to Nico and the Niners in the context of that, it just doesn't fit to me. Don't attack me. Nico and the Niners feels a little out of place. It just doesn't match. Like, again, I know 21 Pilots is known for mixing up different genres within the space of one album, or even one song. So it's not at all the genre, so to speak, of it. It's just, something about it just feels off now. Now that the rest of the album is out, this is where East is Up came from. And see, Nico and the Niners is explained earlier in the album, so you kind of get a background on that. And you get Jumpsuit repeated a couple of times in the album, also in Nico and the Niners. But East is Up, or even East in and of itself, is never mentioned again. It's just in Nico and the Niners, so it's just kind of this thing that just was plopped down in our laps and then never addressed again. And that isn't like 21 Pilots to do something like that, to just plop something like a concept like that down and then never pick it back up again. Unless they explain it later, we're still waiting on Clancy letters. There's that Dima website that could always resurface. We don't know. Anything could happen. It's all a wild card right now with Tyler Joseph. We don't even know what kind of mood he's in. He's living in that John Bellion hoodie. If he's wearing that hoodie at my concert, I am ambushing the stage, Tyler! After Nico and the Niners is Cut My Lip. Cut My Lip is mostly the reason it's my favorite is because of its lyrics. Yeah, it's got a good rhythm, good kind of vocals to it, but I freaking love it. It sort of fits in with Chlorine, I feel, when it comes to deadly things or things that harm you that you kind of keep going back to. Tyler, please don't call me out in front of all these people. If you were gonna say that to me, you could have just said it in a private message. You didn't have to put it on your album, thanks. Because he called me out. Called me out in that song. He called me out. After Cut My Lip is Banditos. And that's another song I don't really know how I feel about. Mostly because I don't fully understand what he's saying. I don't know, it's just, it's okay. Like, it's fine. It's fine. There we go. No, after Banditos is Pet Cheetah. Freaking sick. I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on it because I don't think the lyrics like super mean anything important other than he's kind of talking about writer's block, and like, in my opinion, he's talking about writer's block and the overwhelming pressure from the music industry and the media industry to constantly be producing new stuff. It's someone's going to die when that's played live. Where it's gonna turn into an actual mosh pit, not just people standing in a pit jumping up and down, but like someone's gonna get knocked out, and it'll either be me getting knocked out or me doing the knocking out. So after Pet Cheetah is Legend. really the only song to make me cry. I cried to the song after Legend, but that was mostly because I was still worked up from Legend. Those tears were just still there. That emotion was still running high. Legend is about his grandfather who passed away, and it is heartbreaking. And honestly, like for the first week, so this past week, I had trouble even talking about the song to people without getting emotional, because it makes me think of my own grandpa, who is alive, but he's older, and I just think of the inevitable future of that I'll have to live through, you know, if I outlive him, which is likely. He's in his 90s. So it makes me want to cry. I'm gonna cry right now, so I'm gonna stop talking about it. Good song, sad song. By the way, before I get into Leave the City, which is also, I believe, a sad song, none of the songs on this album are happy. There's one song on this album that is not horribly depressing, and it's Smithereens. It's about his wife talking about him getting beat up for her. The rest of the songs are just, all of them are just sad or have some kind of heavy tone to them. That's the only one that's not heavy. So Leave the City. Here's the thing with Leave the City. Like I said in the very beginning, I think it's important to listen to an album all the way through start to finish without shuffling it. So Leave the City, I believe, is important to look at in the context of the first song, Jumpsuit. Leave the City, when I first heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, is that talking about Tyler and Josh like not doing music anymore, or at least Tyler not doing music anymore? And then an article came out that I believe is very important, honestly, to understanding the whole album. I didn't get into it a lot in this video, mostly because I was focused on my hair this whole time, but there's an article that comes out talking about his crisis in faith, feeling like he's just been doubting everything he's ever believed, and it's a very dark place to be, and I understand that, believe me. And I was already crying from Legend, and I just kind of kept crying because then I thought about that article and thought about what Tyler's going through and just what I'm going through. Yikes. I'm a little bald rat now. Talks about, you know, his faith burning low, but then he says they know that it's almost over. And I have been trying to understand what that means since I first heard it, because I don't know what that means. Apparently they is us, supposedly. He said that he kind of imagined like looking out at the crowd singing that. So I'm assuming that's us, but I don't know what it means, and neither does anyone else. So Tyler, it's not us. We don't know what you mean. Basically, the meaning of Leave the City either is really good and hopeful or super depressing. No in between. So when he says they know that it's almost over, he either means that his deep guttural like questioning of everything he's believed, being in the trench like that, that's almost over and he will get to a better place. Or it's almost over like he's almost burned out. It's almost over, he's gonna give up. I hope that's not it. I think the redemptive narrative of it is also, in time I will leave the city, for now I will stay alive. And I think that's also the point is he will leave this city, whatever that means, eventually, and I think that kind of means this world, this life. For now I will stay alive. So he's going to keep fighting for the truth, or fighting to figure out what he believes. Jumpsuit is, I believe, him talking about his faith and referring to God or Jesus, same person, as a jumpsuit. And then Leave the City is feeling like his faith is running out. He's tired, he's not got a lot left in him, and he's thinking about, you know, death, not in like a, I'm gonna kill myself, but just like, you know, one day I'll die, but I guess I'll just keep going, I'll keep fighting. They know that it's almost over. So I think comparing the two is important. I believe that Jumpsuit is still on him here, because the jumpsuit was still on him in Nico and the Niners, and only a few songs have passed since then. And I'm sure the passing of his grandfather was definitely a blow. That always usually makes people kind of go through a crisis of faith. Not always, but it can. They say it makes your faith stronger, but usually because it gets broken down first. C.S. Lewis called it a house of cards when his wife passed away. His faith was like a house of cards. Her passing blew him down, but it was good because a house of cards is nothingness. It's not real faith, so it had to get knocked down in order to be built up on a stronger foundation. And he goes through basically what it sounds like Tyler's going through, of just doubting everything. He's still covered. He's still got that covering of the jumpsuit. So that's why I want to hold on to the hopefulness of they know that it's almost over, that he's still got this protection, so it's almost over. This deep season of trench, this deep season of doubt is almost over, and in time he will leave the city, but he's going to keep fighting for it, the light at the end of the tunnel. That's been the video. I'm gonna let this sit on my hair for a little while, go wash it out. You won't see the end result until a couple videos later because I'm going to Nashville and I think I'm either vlogging or making a recap video. I'm not 100% sure, maybe both. But you'll see the pink hair then. Alright, so I'm Olivia. You're welcome for this video. And subscribe. Why aren't you subscribed? Like, literally everyone else is subscribed. It's super weird that you're not. Like, that's super weird. What? Everyone else is doing it. Just do it.